Hello everyone! An individual has contacted me through my YouTube account and asked me if I could resharpen his Esee Izula II in exchange for a small compensation, and I agreed to do that. It's a small bushcraft type knife which has a fairly simple blade profile. It has a primary bevel here and a secondary bevel down here. And by inspecting this blade I can see that it's generally not extremely blunt, but it does have, I'm not sure if that shows on camera, unfortunately I do not have a macro lens, it does have quite many little pittings in the edge, and I think I'll be able to help that knife back to its original sharpness or even better, and I want to have you guys take part in that. So since it does have these flat spots here on the side and the flat grind blade profile, I can very well use my Edge Pro Apex for this. And in order to not damage the blade, the first thing that I'm going to do is tape it up. I don't always do that with my own knives when I sharpen them, but if I sharpen somebody else's knife, of course I want to make sure that I do not damage the finish on them, although this does have already some flaking of this, I don't know what type of coating they put on these knives, but it's already chipped a little bit. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just using this edding marker. In America you have Sharpies, in Germany we have eddings, and I'm going to paint the edge black so I can find the original bevel on this. So now I'm going to first eyeball the approximate angle that I think it's going to have, and then I'm scratching that, and now I can see I'm grinding the bottom part of the edge here, but I'm not grinding the full bevel, so I need to go a little bit lower here and make the angle just a little bit shallower. Now I'm hitting the top of it, so the sweet spot is going to be just in between. And of course these factory grinds on the edges are not always perfect and perfectly symmetrical, and I think I'm hitting the original bevel here pretty well. I can try it on the other side as well. Here you can see the problem with the factory bevel is here I'm perfectly hitting the original bevel, and up here I'm grinding a little bit high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it like that and establish this angle that I put on this right now, and I'm just going to grind the whole edge this way, and then I'm going to continue with the finer stones. So I'm putting a bit of water on the stone, placing the knife like this, make sure that it's not going to wobble away. I'm counting my strokes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm switching the sides, establishing a good hold, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And And I'm going to do that until I will see that these nicks in the blade are going to disappear. So I already established a pretty uniform bevel here, and I got out most of the nicks in the blade, but here is a pretty deep one, so I will have to keep working on this quite a little bit more until that one is ground out. The 120 grit stone removes the steel pretty quick though. So it only took a couple of strokes more, and now I have established a uniform bevel here that does not have any dents in the blade, and that's going to be my starting point for now starting to polish this with increasingly finer stones. The next one is going to be a 220 grit stone. So, I can definitely feel the burr forming on this side throughout the whole blade, and I can switch to the next finer grit. That's 400 grit. I'm going to continue just a little bit more on this grid. A bit of moisture on the stone. .600 grit. So with a 600 grit grind I can already start cutting paper like this. Like for certain applications you can definitely leave it at 600 grit. Like if you're just going to cut meat with it all day long, a little bit toothy edge might actually be beneficial. But since this person told me that he wants to also use it for carving and stuff, I'm going to polish it up to 2000 grit now. So this was 600 grit. Now taking the 1000 grit stone. So now I'm going to use a 2000 grit and a 3000 grit polishing tape on it. On the tape only very little water. Sure that the blade is already relatively clean. And now I'm starting to drag it backwards first, so I don't have that strong burr anymore that will cut into my tape. And otherwise this is just the same operation as with the stones. So I'm done with the edge pro grinding now. If you look at the edge, it really works like a, if I get this in the camera image here, it really does work like a mirror. And now I'm going to leather hone the edge. What I simply do is I take my belt and I put it into my vise like this. And now I'm just stropping the blade down my belt like this. And that's going to polish the blade even further and going to get rid of any burrs, having a perfectly centered cutting edge. Okay. Take the tapes off. I'm going to go and clean the knife now and then make a sharpness test. Shall we test it? Of course, printer paper is always not the perfect representation of what the knife will cut in its actual use, but it does give a pretty good feedback as to how smooth the edges, and if it just slides through paper like this, it is going to be definitely fit for any outdoor task like food preparation or carving. I do have some carving wood over here. Try that as well. It does make pretty fine shavings. So that's definitely gonna be fit for any job that I encounter. Okay, I hope you found this interesting and maybe learned something from it, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye.